When you reach the high-priced product level of your sales funnel, this is where you start to make some serious money. The higher-priced item comes down further down the sales funnel here, after your freebie, after your lower-priced item, after your mid-range item. That's when you're going to start to sell your high-priced item. And in a way, things start to get easier at this level because you have customers who know you and are starting to trust you. And if you've over-delivered on value with your low and mid-range products, then people will know what to expect. There are two types of products that are popular at this level: training courses and software or apps. Now let's look at training courses. When you have your training course, you want to have higher production values than your ebook and other videos. That means something like having a presenter talking to camera in the video part and music at the beginning and end of each video, 3D graphics, etc. Something that shows that you have actually spent some money in making this product. Now, your courses should be text and video based, and the text and the video should work together. So, for example, you could have video lessons with a workbook or a reference manual, and the whole thing ties together. Now, you can research and create these courses yourself, or you can rework PLR or public domain materials. So you can do all that yourself, or you can outsource it to a professional. Now, when it comes to delivering your courses, you do have a couple of options. And the first way to deliver them is digitally, and that means from a site on the internet. Now, when you do it this way, the overheads are much lower. And of course, when you do it digitally, you can update the materials much more easily. The other way of distributing your courses is to distribute it physically. And physical products have a higher perceived value than digital products. People think that because they've actually got something that they can physically hold in their hands, it's worth more than just something that they see on their computer screen, even though it contains the exact same amount of information. So correspondingly, you can charge more. If you're going to distribute your course digitally, then a good platform to put it on is Moodle. Moodle is actually used by a large number of colleges and universities throughout the world for distributing courses. So it is actually very highly recommended. And it's free and open source, and you can read more about it at moodle.org. You'll probably need to have quite a lot of storage space to store the videos and the digital documents on, which might overdo the bandwidth that you might have for your web hosting account. So a good storage solution is Amazon S3. There are free and paid for versions of this, but the free version does let you have quite a lot of storage space. And you can read more about it at aws.amazon.com. You might also consider putting it on a third-party platform. And probably the best one out there is Lynda, which is lynda.com. And Lynda is actually owned by LinkedIn now. And there's all sorts of different courses out there that you can use, and you can actually start to drive traffic to your course via Lynda. It's actually quite a good deal. If you want to distribute your course physically, then a good company to use is Vervante. They will handle everything, all the printing, all the duplication of the CDs and DVDs, etc., and then send everything out in the mail. They're a US-based company, but they will distribute worldwide, and you can read more about them at vervante.com. Finally, there's Amazon CreateSpace, and this is great because Not only will they print it on demand and duplicate it on demand, they'll also list it on Amazon.com so you can start to sell your courses that way outside of your sales funnel. So it is actually quite a good idea to sell via CreateSpace, and you can find out more at createspace.com. Now, the other popular product at this level are software and apps. Now, if you decide to do that, your software or your app should solve a specific need for the customer, and it should make the customer's life easier. But also, if you're going to develop a software or an app, you want to make sure that it's not something that's available free on the internet, because people are not going to buy your product if they can get it for nothing or download it for nothing off of another website. Now, there are a number of different ways that you can make the app. You can write the program yourself, or you can hire a coder to write it for you. So if you're not a coder yourself, then it's best to hire someone to do that for you. Now, the process is longer and more complicated than creating a training course, as you have to allow for beta testing, debugging, etc., etc. And digital delivery is the norm for software or an app. Now, let's just look at some software resources. If you're looking to outsource the coding of your software or your app, then a good place to hire a coder from is Rent-A-Coder, which you can find here at rent-acoder.com. And a good distribution platform for apps and software is CNET, and you can find out more at cnet.com. Regardless of whether you're going to do a training course or whether you're going to make software or an app, you want to survey your customers at this point to find out what they want. And it's best to do it at this stage in the sales funnel, as you can use this information to develop products at this level and also later on. Now, people on your prospect list may just be freebie seekers who are looking to get stuff for free. So they're not really the best sort of people to ask what they want, because their answer is going to be, well, something for nothing. So after you've actually got customers, people who've actually parted with money to buy one of your products, then that's the best time to do the survey and to ask them what they want. There's a couple of options when it comes to survey software. The first one is SurveyMonkey. Now, this is a hosted solution, and you can read more about it at surveymonkey.com, and there are free and paid for versions. Another option is Lime Survey, and this is a free open source solution that you host on your own server. And if your hosting package comes with Fantastico or Softalicious, you may be able to install this from within cPanel. Otherwise, you can download the software from limesurvey.org and install it manually. It's actually quite straightforward. At this stage in the funnel, when you reach the point on your sales funnel where you're selling your higher priced products and services, you're going to be selling smaller numbers, but you're going to be making bigger money. Now, this level comes pretty much the penultimate level to your sales funnel. So people have downloaded your freebie, they've bought your lower priced, mid-priced, and high-priced items, and now you're going to offer them something that's quite expensive but is very, very good quality. And two types of products are popular at this level. One is telephone coaching and the other is a masterclass. Now, telephone coaching can be one-on-one, or it can be group calls, or it can be a combination of both. So, for example, you might have a group call where you're speaking to a lot of different people on the call, and then you open up the lines to have Q&A at the end of the call so that people can then ask you questions and everybody can hear the answer. Now, one thing that you want to do beforehand is to send out a questionnaire so that you can tailor the calls to suit the wants and needs of the participants. And then you structure the series of calls so that they follow an agenda and you can guide the participants towards achieving their goals. And something else you can do is you can record the calls and offer the recordings as a bonus. You can offer them for MP3 downloads, etc. Or you can offer this as a downsell to people who don't want to or who can't afford to participate in the calls themselves. Now, you won't sell as many of these as your other cheaper products. So make a virtue out of this by limiting the number of participants and creating scarcity. Now, there are lots of pros and cons to doing telephone coaching. And it's not for every niche. For example, if you're in the fitness niche, doing a telephone conferencing probably isn't going to be a good idea. But for a lot of niches, it is a very good thing to do. But let's just look at some of the pros and cons. Now, the pros. First of all, there's low overheads. It's just whatever it costs to hold the conference calls, and there are various services out there that offer them, and you can also do them via Skype and other methods that way. So there's very little financial outlay. It's just your time and your knowledge. Now let's look at the cons. First of all, it's time intensive. You have to tie yourself down to a specific number of dates and times. So you do have to schedule that into your diary, and that might intrude on other things. Then there are time zone problems, because you're going to have to try and find a time that is acceptable to most of your customers when they're mostly going to be able to get on the call. And that can be difficult because, for example, if you're in a hobby niche, you might want to do the calls in the afternoon after people are home from work, or in the evenings. And let's say you're in New York. Well, it's going to be afternoon or evening there, but it's going to be during working hours in California, and it's going to be during the middle of the night in Europe. So you're going to have problems there getting people to be able to listen in. And finally, you must really know what you're talking about, because you can't fake it when someone asks you a question in Q&A and you don't know the answer, or you just waffle. So you really must know what you're talking about. And if you're not an expert at the subject, then this isn't something that you want to get involved in. Now let's look at some resources that you can use for telephone coaching. Exactly what conference call provider you use is largely going to depend on what country you're in. So my best advice would be to do a search in Google for conference calls, and you'll find there's lots and lots of different providers. And the features and prices vary, so it's a good idea to just simply go through and check them out and see which ones best meet your requirements. You can also do conference calls on Skype. They call them group calls. And of course, these are free and over the internet. And you can read more about it and download the software from skype.com. Now, similar to telephone coaching is holding a masterclass. And this can be approached in a similar way to telephone coaching, except that you deliver everything in one go. Now, like with telephone coaching, you can record the event, but this time on video, and you can offer it as a bonus or as a downsell. And just like over the phone, you can have Q&A afterwards. Now, just like with telephone coaching, there are some pros and cons to doing all this. The pros is, of course, it's higher perceived value. People actually get to see you in the flesh. And you can get it all over in one go, and you can hold several of these over the course of a year in different cities or countries. The cons, of course, well, there are much higher overheads. There's the venue costs, you've got travel costs, etc. There's limited capacity, so you need to make sure that you sell all of the places in order to turn a profit. And of course, it's harder to reschedule if something unexpected crops up. But regardless of which one you do, and there are others as well that you can have at this level, once again, you want to make sure that you offer overwhelmingly high value so that you over deliver so that people feel that they have definitely got their money's worth. You've now reached the expensive end of the funnel. Right down at the bottom here, people have downloaded your freebie, they've bought all your lower, mid-range, high and higher priced products or services, and now you've got a position where you can sell them something that's quite expensive. And most likely this is going to be a service at this stage, and one offered by you or perhaps by other people within your organization. And this can either be a one-off, or more profitably, it can be an ongoing service that you're going to offer on a continuous basis. And at this sort of level, the most popular offerings are one-on-one coaching or mentoring and consultancy. And coaching can be done either in person or over the phone, and you can offer email support too. And it's tailored specifically to the needs of the client. And it involves a lot of interactive two-way communication. So if you're in a business niche, then people can telephone you or email you and get your advice on things that they're doing in their business, and you can coach or mentor them all the way through the process. And if you're in the fitness or sports niche, this might mean offering your services as a personal trainer or as a coach to a professional athlete, that sort of thing. But you're going to charge a premium price because they're going to have your time exclusively for however long has been agreed. Now, if you're doing consulting, then you're generally going to be helping organizations to improve their performance rather than individuals. And what you'll do is you'll analyze the problems that the organization has, and you'll draw up plans for improvement. You'll then work closely with them to implement the plans, and you'll tweak the plans where necessary. Now, in either case, you might be paid on a per session basis, an ongoing basis, or you might be paid a retainer. The overheads are low, it's just your time, and clients are paying a premium price for access to you, the expert. But even though now you've got somebody at the bottom part of your funnel, or at least one person or company, you shouldn't neglect the rest of it. You still need to keep this going as an ongoing process. So you still need to be getting people into the top of your sales funnel and generating traffic. You still need to be giving away your freebie and updating it from time to time. You still need to be offering low and mid-priced products, your high-priced products, higher priced products. You need to keep this turning over all the time. It's an ongoing process, not just a one-off. So you do need to keep coming up with products, coming up with ideas, coming up with new services, etc. Which is why by the time that people actually get to the bottom of your sales funnel here, there aren't very many people who are going to be interested in this and who are going to be prepared to pay this much. But also, because you're very busy with all this other stuff, you're not going to have a lot of time to take on a lot of consulting clients or do a lot of coaching anyway. So the fact that you probably won't sell very many of these really expensive products or services is in some ways a blessing. But your whole sales funnel, as I said, is an ongoing process, and you just need to keep on the whole time through and keep bringing people in, keep it churning over. and I wish you every success.